Oh man, you can't hardly tell. That's what it's all about. I can get that turned around. You can't really tell. I waited a little bit too long. That sunset, gorgeous, perfect sphere. Red sun, almost looks like a Monet painting. The light bouncing off the clouds. But anyway, who cares about all that? Also, moment of honesty, yes, trying to straddle the fence between off the grid, on the grid, yeah, I've gotten beat up again. Again, Dad even said this is the worst farm year he's probably ever seen, with the hurricane, or not the hurricane, the tornado, the hail, everything. And then it flooded, I couldn't get out here, and then work was crazy, so it absolutely got overgrown. I'm testing some post-emergent weed killer that doesn't hurt the plant. That's not working so good. Corn's hanging in. The second garden, gave up on the third, but the second garden, watermelons are starting to come in. Did a few practice runs, which were good for next year as far as weed preventer. But even though this 8-foot fence seems to have gotten the deer out, apparently it's not gotten out, I don't know if these are groundhogs or what, that are eating the melons. So I think I've got another potential fix, but again, I'm not a pacifist, as my Tyler Durden shirt would hopefully say. So let's just say it is groundhogs. I would rather not kill them, but if I have to, I won't lose any sleep over it. So it is what it is. One thing that I kind of wanted to focus on in this video, instead of just another to-do list, was literally to focus more on, this is kind of like the epitome. You're like, what, a bench? Yes, a bench with some mulch on it. All right, my point being is this. I put this bench out here, there we go, like, I don't know, forever ago. But I'm always too much in a hurry to ever actually sit in it. So here I am. The lawn and everything's mowed. The lawn, the off the grid, the field, whatever you want to call it. You can hear the cicadas. The sun is setting. I still have a lot to do in the garden, but who cares? The garden's pretty much done for. I will salvage what I can, but it is August 1st. So, lessons for next year. But I think the biggest takeaway is literally that you can't really straddle the fence forever. And what I mean by that is just, again, this sounds like a broken record, and this is probably more to myself than anything, but there's more to life than just making money. And that's what the title, does money equal peace, or whatever it's called. And I think the answer is overwhelmingly no. And all you have to do is look at people that have a lot of money and say, hey, are they at peace? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no, they're not. This is me speaking to myself. This is me speaking friends. Scott, the guy that went to the Philippines, I mean, he still struggles with this all the time. He's there's always some other obstacle, you know. Well, if I can just get this, I'm like, hey, dude, you've lived in the Philippines now for 2 years. When is this peace that you're talking about coming? And the other thing, people don't really, I don't think it registers with them. At work, I'm one of the oldest people at 47, right? Okay, next year, if I actually hang them up, and forget titles, let's just assume, what do they call it, barista fire. So in other words, retire from the high stress, 6-figure job, do something simpler, milk out the 72T, which we'll get into later. But yes, I'm old at work, but at the same time, everyone says you're too young to retire. Well, what does that mean? Kind of like my hat, you like that? The Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Famous Wall Street line when we lived, my wife and I, a couple of years in New York City area. But no, all jokes aside, wealth does not necessitate peace. And I think what we're striving for is peace. So when you say leaving the matrix, you could replace that with leaving unpeaceful for peaceful. And I think that's what the quiet life is so underrated in this day and age. So yeah, and again, that's me preaching to myself, I guess, because I feel like now, I'm like, hey James, don't just sit here. There's a little bit of sunlight left. You can still do X, Y, Z. Dude, chill. Just chill. So with that, instead of me rambling on, I think I'm just going to encourage you guys to listen to the sounds. Watch the remaining sunset here. And just ask yourself, we're always worried more about, hey, I want this designer car, I want this. And don't get me wrong, if I Google my salary, it says I'm in the top 6%. Top 6%, well, that's awesome. You're successful. What does that even mean? You know what I mean? If I don't have peace, what does it mean? Well, it means you can buy more worthless gadgets. What does that mean? So I guess what I'm saying is, doesn't matter. You could sit here and complain about making minimum wage. You could complain about a lot of the people I work with make a lot more money than me, and they're like, oh my gosh, you make nothing. You have nothing. To both of you, what difference does it make? Forget politics, forget money, forget all this, pardon my language, bullshit. How is your peace? How is your soul? And again, we'll probably get into that a little bit later as far as the spiritual side of leaving the matrix. And trust me, it's not going to be all preaching or anything, but no, with that being said, and again, I know most people have already clicked off this, which I could care less if you have, but for those few that haven't, just listen, just chill, just watch the sunset.